Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. Very different surroundings today. I'm on a proper holiday, but that doesn't mean I can't work, because talking about Chelsea, to say it as work in the sense of this is tough and this is gonna break my back is a lie. I can absolutely sit here or stand here on this beach talking about Chelsea. So today we're talking news. We're talking the real reasons behind Julian Nagelsmann no longer being in contention. We're going to talk about Mauricio Pochettino looking as though he's going to be our man, which leads us then to talk about the potential of Harry Kane. I want to talk about Rafael Leao. It's been in the Spanish news that Chelsea and Liverpool might well be battling out for Leao. And I also want to talk Reece James, Barcelona, it's a joke, and Mason Mount. But we begin, first of all, by me saying, if you don't mind, subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the content, and hit the like button if the sand behind me is enjoyable for your eyes and you're not too bitter to allow me this moment on the beach. I know, it is delightful. It really is as white, this sand, as it looks on this camera. It's gorgeous. But Julian Nagelsmann didn't believe that Chelsea was a gorgeous prospect for him. And I'm going to tell you the reasons why. I actually feel as though this could be a blessing in disguise from Chelsea Football Club, because as conversations, the early conversations between Chelsea and Nagelsmann started to develop, it seemed as though there was a big gap between what both Nagelsmann wants the club to be, how Todd Boehly wants to run the club, and how both of those two parties fit in together in the rebuilding of the Chelsea project. And by the way, Rebuilding Chelsea episode 4 is coming out after this video in a few hours. But Julian Nagelsmann, the reports are coming out at the moment that Nagelsmann felt as though the interview process for Chelsea Football Club and getting the job was a formality. He didn't see any other serious contenders in the list of potential managers other than himself. So as soon as things started to get a bit difficult for him in terms of coming to agreements and acknowledging basically everything that was expected of him and how he could deliver that, as soon as it started to get to a point where we had to butt heads a little bit and ask questions, and maybe some parties need to deviate away from what would be their number one choice, Nagelsmann kind of shunted at this prospect and was no longer interested. So maybe Chelsea dodged a bullet here. Maybe the fact that the moment that questions start to be asked and things can't all be his way, with any football club, you don't want to see the owners of the club, who are not necessarily footballing people, you don't want to see them being the ones to make all the decisions. But also, in order to prevent conflict at board level down to the managers, which obviously transcends to the players, you need a manager who is going to be able to willing to work with his employers, because at the end of the day, the reason he's getting paid is because they are the ones running the club. So if there are things before he even takes over that can't be agreed, then I think Chelsea dodged a bullet. We've heard the stories. You've got your Tuchels at PSG, where big characters who have their way of doing things, but with owners like the ones we have, like they have at Paris Saint-Germain, you need to be able to work with people. You need to be able to sometimes accept that when these guys own and run the club, it can't always be the way you want it to be. So at the moment, this is just rumours, but Nagelsmann ruled himself out. Luis Enrique's no longer in. And Mauricio Pochettino is the favourite. I've spoken about Pochettino a little bit in the manager's video of the Rebuilding Chelsea series a couple of videos ago here on the channel. But it is looking as though it is more and more likely that Mauricio Pochettino will take over as the new Chelsea manager. Fabrizio Romano has reported today talks between Mauricio Pochettino and Chelsea will continue this week to enter crucial stages. He's the favourite to get the job since Thursday. Enrique and Nagelsmann are out. This week, key to make final decision. Company appreciated, but Pochettino is ahead. This doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I think what Chelsea have done here, which on the surface layer it certainly looks like this, but considering so many of the issues we've had this season, so many of the concerns that have been expressed by Chelsea fans about the new owners, a lot of us, when we take away the tactical elements, when we take away the positives, on the surface, the fact that Mauricio Pochettino was probably the most successful Spurs manager in many years, at least in my lifetime anyway. The fact that he did such a good job there and was so universally loved by Tottenham fans does leave a sour taste in the mouths of Chelsea fans. However, now that he's the favourite, I've tried to remove this from the way that I see Chelsea progressing if Pochettino is to take over. I think we spoke about it a bit in the manager's rebuild video, but it looks to me as though of all of the potential managers, Vincent Kompany is probably the second choice at the moment from Chelsea, but diplomatically, he was asked questions about his links to the Chelsea job and he said he's just focused on winning football matches, which of course you would do when you're on the verge of clinching a championship title in your first proper season as a manager in English football, which is absolutely outstanding. But I do think having Vincent Kompany as the number 2 is Chelsea's way of saying, well, you know, we've done our due diligence, we've narrowed down, and unfortunately we've had to rule out 2 top managers in Luis Enrique and Julian Nagelsmann, but you know what? We know that Chelsea fans may not be sold on Mauricio Pochettino, so you know what we'll do? We'll just go and stick a couple of other names in there. I've heard the Celtic manager is also linked as well, and I mean, come on, mate, you're managing in Celtic, and I think he's done some decent work in Australia as well. So if these are the 2 managers that Mauricio Pochettino is up against here in this race to become the new Chelsea manager, then the only way that this can go south from here is if there is a similar disagreement with ideas and directions that we saw from Nagelsmann and Boehly, and the same thing potentially happening in these crucial stages between Pochettino and Todd Boehly. And it's at a point where if from this moment on Mauricio Pochettino does not become the new Chelsea manager, then I think we have got to be seriously concerned about what it is that Todd Boehly and the rest of this sporting department at Chelsea envisage the club being ran, and why it isn't possible for top managers to work within these parameters. If Pochettino doesn't get the job from here, when he's expressed interest, we are hearing stories about how he's already leaving roadmaps available for people to look at for the likes of Mudryk, Levi Colwill, players who Pochettino knows are highly thought of here at Chelsea Football Club, that we've spent big money on in the sense of Mudryk, but have high hopes for in Colwill. Pochettino is known for developing players. He's known for building players and working with the squad with both older, more experienced players and bleeding in youth as well. So if you're the likes of Lewis Hall, Kane Chukwuemeka, you're looking at the potential appointment of Pochettino and you're like, this is exciting. And then you've also got players like Mason Mount, who, as we move into that story now, was having discussions with Todd Boehly on Friday, and the news coming out the Chelsea camp from David Ornstein is that this was positive. With Mount, people have always either loved him or hated him. Majority of people that watch football know how talented Mason Mount is, but I think some that did love Mount this season, which happens in football when form isn't good, players fans fall out of love with the players. But I've been pretty sure the whole time that if Mount wants to be at Chelsea, if Chelsea and Mount can strike a deal which sees him sign a new contract to keep him at the club, a manager like Pochettino, I think, is perfect for getting the best again out of someone like Mason Mount. And when you look at what we saw in his first 2 seasons when he broke through into this Chelsea team, compare that to now, get back to where he was before, and this is disregarding any potential building and improvement on what we saw before. If we can get that Mount back, it's going to feel like a new signing again next season. And I think Pochettino is absolutely the kind of manager to be able to work around Mount, with Mount, and develop Mason Mount. So positive talks at the moment. It looks as though it flip-flops day by day, week by week, as to whether Mount is close to signing, close to joining someone else, not signing. Chelsea know if they want to sell him this summer, it's either sign the deal or sell. Because if they don't, he's going to go for free, and they miss the opportunity of 50, 60 million pounds of pure profit on a player from the academy. Moving in to Barcelona. Fabrizio Romano's had to report on this because Barcelona have been trying to get their claws or talons or whatever it is they've got, blunt knives, into Reece James because of Chelsea's situation. They think they can sign Reece James. Reece James signed a new deal last year. Fabrizio Romano says Reece James is untouchable in this Chelsea team, and I don't see any way on this planet that Reece James would join Barcelona. Specifically because Chelsea would probably be looking for a world record fee for a fullback, and Barcelona cannot afford that, which is why we've been linked with players like Rafinha, who Chelsea have had a long time admirance, if that's even a word, of, and Barcelona need to sell players to raise funds. So you're not going to get 80, 90 million, which I'd say Reece James is worth, for Rafinha. So jog on, Barcelona. You're a joke. You're a laughing stock. You managed to get Christensen for free. Let's just leave it there, shall we? And if anyone's going to be taking anyone off of each other's hands, we'll be buying your players because you're flipping broke, mate. So anyway, we move into the final story of the day. And again, it comes from Spain. And Chelsea and Liverpool are reportedly interested in battling it out this summer for Rafael Leao. If you watch Rafael Leao, he's one of those players who gets you off your seat. He's exciting, but at the moment, I can't get that excited about hearing stories about Chelsea being interested in Leao when, in order for Chelsea to bring Rafael Leao to the club, we're going to have to sell so many wingers because, yes, I will go into this in the video in the Rebuilding Chelsea series, but so much mediocrity, so much just weak wing play and weakness in general from a strength physical aspect that the Premier League needs. Rafael Leao is that level of player. He's got the physical nature. He can run at players, take players on, score goals. He's having a phenomenal season. And at the moment, the rumours are that Todd Boehly has said he will pay the 20 million euros that Rafael Leao owes to Sporting. I don't know enough about this one, but if a player is, let's just say, for want of any better terms, in debt to another club as an individual, we're trying to offer 20, saying, yeah, you know what, we'll cover you 20 million. AC Milan are going to want 100 odd million or something for the bloke. This is big bucks. It is serious big bucks, as would be Harry Kane. Daniel Levy, I do not see any world where Daniel Levy sells Harry Kane to Chelsea, but did you see Tottenham yesterday? Did you see how abysmal that football club is? And if Pochettino really is to take over again at Chelsea, Poch got the best out of Harry Kane. Harry Kane under Pochettino was a demon, a menace. And imagine if he was being a menace in blue instead of against blue. If Harry Kane is in any way available for Chelsea Football Club, it would be a absolutely sensational signing. He's not going to sign a new deal at Tottenham because, let's be honest, anyone who signs a deal there in the first place is absolutely bonkers. And if you're scoring goals the way he has been in the last few years, I don't think you're bonkers enough to do it again, Harry. It's not possible. You can't stay at Tottenham. You're never going to win anything. It's a disastrous football club, and I'm glad they got beat 6-1 yesterday because no matter how much of a joke we think Chelsea are, you can always rely on Spurs. But let me know your thoughts on Pochettino looking like this is the week where he will be announced and confirmed as the new Chelsea manager. Stay tuned later on today because the Rebuilding Chelsea Defenders episode is going out. And that is a fascinating one. We're going to delve into everything. So stay tuned, subscribe if you're new, hit the like button. If you did enjoy, come on you Blues.